Hi students, welcome back to our class. So today I'm going to go over what makes a good thesis statement, and we're going to go over two different points and two different ways on how you can make sure that your thesis statement is a strong and a clear thesis statement. Number one thing that you have to make sure is that your thesis statement is a debatable statement. The worst thing they could do in writing an essay is to claim general things that are true and things that are not necessarily wrong and things that are not necessarily debatable, right? For example, if you are providing this as your thesis statement or your claim, right, in the start of your essay, and you wrote pollution is bad for the environment, well, that's everyone can agree to that, and that's not really a debatable point because for example, dying, everyone dies, right? That's like a fact. And thesis statements are not meant to be in that way. Thesis statements are supposed to be inviting the reader to think about a debatable topic in a certain way. So we got to make sure that our thesis statements are debatable statements. Okay? So for example, this is a debatable statement. Okay? At least 25% of the federal budget should be spent on limiting pollution, right? So that's already an agreeable thing. Pollution is bad, right? But we're actually arguing for something, right? We're arguing for the allocation of federal budget meaning the country's budget, national budget, to combat pollution, using 20% of that to combat pollution. So that is up for discussion. That is debatable between two different people, or maybe even more than that. So another example of a debatable thesis statement is that America's anti-pollution efforts should focus on privately owned cars. So in this thesis statement, again, it says that pollution is bad, but now it's much more narrowed down to how pollution should be addressed to a specific target. The second thing that we want to make sure our thesis statements for our essays is for them to be narrowed. Narrowed meaning to be specific or to be focused, right? An example of a thesis that is very broad is, drug use is detrimental to society. Everyone can pretty much agree with that statement. But we need to narrow it down to a more specific claim or a specific statement. And an example would be illegal drug use is detrimental because it encourages gang violence, right? So you're giving a reason to this statement, because if you make your thesis statement to be something that's very general, right? When it's very general, you can't really focus on trying to justify or trying to defend the topic that you are talking about. It might as well become an informative essay rather than it being an argumentative essay. So just a reminder of what an argumentative essay is. An argumentative essay exists to convince the reader about your own belief, right? So that means you gotta believe it, but you also have the task of convincing someone to believe something that you believe. So they can just believe it or they can take action, but you're actually defending your own belief. And if there's nothing to defend, if the statement itself is just a general truth, right? Pollution is bad, or corruption is bad, everybody dies, right? It's not helpful at all to the reader. What we want to make sure is that not only it's a debatable statement, but it's also specific. It's narrowed down to a certain subject.